Welcome, everyone. My name is Nina Benoit. I'm the director of Systemity at the Brightest and the host of the AI Systemity podcast. So, for first time listeners, this podcast talks about all things related to artificial intelligence and sustainability, exploring how AI can have a positive impact on our planet and our people, but also what are the potential limitations or threats of AI. So today I have the pleasure of welcoming Robert Keus, who is the founder of GreenPT, which claims to be the very first green AI chat available on the market. And beyond GreenPT, Robert is also a serial entrepreneur who has founded several startups in the Netherlands, including an internet agency that focuses on digital products with impact. So, Robert, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to hear more about GreenPT, which I have been using already for about a week. So I would like to start by asking you, why do you think GreenPT is the most sustainable AI chat right now? So could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, thank you for having me, by the way. Um, yeah, I could tell a little bit background story about GreenPT. As you mentioned, I own a digital agency, and we try to we help our clients with like all kind of development of digital products, and mainly in the AI space. And we always try to put a social element in our products. And one of the things that's really important for us is we call that social AI, where we say, okay, how can you create or develop digital products, but also take privacy, like GDPR, security measures, and ethical measures into account. And also sustainability is one of them. And a lot of our clients, they ask us, okay, can you, like the things you build for us, the APIs you use, the AI APIs you use, um, can it be hosted in Europe, or can it be sustainable, or and we needed to give them advice on these questions. And then, like, I think it was 2 months or later, like 5, 6 months ago, open source industry also released more advanced AI models. So for us, it was an eye opener where you said, okay, now we can host this ourselves, and a lot of our products we can host it in Europe, and we can provide our clients with their own, basically own APIs or models.
Mhm.
Um, and like when we were doing this, so we were setting this up, we're all also we were thinking, okay, we have this. Okay, is there already like all these open source models? You can host them themselves. Is there a party which can provide us with a sustainable API? So where it basically, the AI model is hosted on a green server at a certified hosting partner. And we already are partners with Leaf Cloud, which is a sustainability, like a hosting provider in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and they provide sustainable hosting services. So we got in contact with them because we know them personally, and we asked them, hey, this is our idea, can you help us with this? And they helped us with like setting up AI servers, or like GPU servers. And then we deployed our first models. They were not like as good as they are now, but we were playing with it. And then I pitched it to one of my clients, and they said, yeah, or one of my clients, yeah, I would like to have this, of course. And both on for the sustainability proposition, but also for the proposition that it's hosted in Europe. So from there we were thinking, hey, this is interesting. So are there maybe other people around us, or people like to have this? And basically everybody said, okay, if you can give me something which is unsustainable and also hosted in Europe,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a no-brainer. So basically we already sold it to a lot of our internal clients before we really had it. So that was basically the start of GreenPT. And um, yeah, so yeah, that was basically the start. So what I know that there are green hosters which can provide APIs, but it's like they're already green hosted and they have AI services. But what I know is that we are the first company which also have like the proposition and the marketing around it, and also delivering a chat to our users.
Definitely. And well, congratulations on
Yeah.
already selling it and also being able to develop it so quickly. That's really impressive.
Yeah. I think it's we already have the knowledge, so we have built it within Brothers, so that's the digital agency, and did a lot of research to deploying AI models and with how you can like create a chat, how you can connect it, APIs. So it looks like we could move. We were able to move fast, but there was like a lot of research before we were able to do that.
That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. And so, of course, sustainability and AI is a big concern right now, especially when we talk about high energy demands of large models. So, how does GreenPT minimize its carbon footprint compared to other mainstream AI models?
Yeah. So that is basically the question we get like basically every day. Also, in the sustainability world, when you say something is sustainable, you really need to prove it. What is sustainable, and also you need to be transparent what isn't sustainable, because that's also the case here. But I can tell a little bit more about that. So basically, the first step we took was we had chosen like we we went to like the hosting provider which has their certificate. So basically, how it works in the hosting world is that if you have a server, it needs to be on a location, and the location uses a lot of energy because they need to provide energy for the servers. And these locations, they need to be like sustainable. And the hosting providers which we use two, so LeafCloud and Skillways, and basically both they have their reports and certificates that they are sustainable. And how can you measure that? Is the way one is how much power is renewable, so how much power of they use is renewable energy. Both in this cases are 100%, and also how much water they use, and how effective is the power usage. So there basically are like three things you can measure if something is like a hosting data center is sustainable or not, and they have their certifications and their reporting in place. Also, a funny fact about LeafCloud is that they also use their their heat from their server centers to um, to heat like apartments or hospitals or swimming pools. So they don't have like a lot of like large data centers. They have smaller data centers which are next to these buildings, which is which is I think is really cool. Next to that, so if you use these kind of providers, they need to have the hardware, because like not all providers have the correct hardware to scale and host correct AI models. So so that was basically the second question we had. So we that's the reason we have chosen these parties. Um, and when we had everything in place, we needed to choose like the models, because there's always a of course you can, the thing is, if you host like a really small model, it's logical that the smaller the model, the more people you can onboard on one server, so the more sustainable it is. Um, and um, because more people you need less servers for higher demand. But also people want to have quality, so they don't want to use AI if the model gives you like a lot of hallucinations, or they're not skilled in certain languages.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so we were thinking of that because we used first we had like some large models, and they were good, but they were, in our opinion, a little bit too large for our proposition. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the last 3 months, they're um, uh, the, they released like new, like pretty small models, which are really capable to do like a lot of common things in AI. So what I always say is, like, if I take a look to my clients and also to the people I know, friends of mine, I think 95% of the tasks people do with AI can be done by smaller models. Um, so what we did, we decided to use like two different models. So the green R, we call it it's a reasoning model,
Mm-hmm.
and the green L, which is more a language model, which excels in copywriting and writing, um, which are like um, yeah, pretty small for a large language model. And so that's the second thing, the how large, how the size of the model. Um, and the third thing, what we do is we have a preset of settings in how a model should respond to certain questions.
Mm-hmm.
So um, the larger the question, the larger the answer, the more resources it takes from the server.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we tried to tweak it, that it tries to give the shortest answer possible for the
Okay.
best outcome.
Mm.
Um, and that's a little bit vague, but also this is a little bit like a balance between sustainability and quality. So sometimes people need a larger like answer to 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 get more quality in the response, and sometimes a shorter answer is better. So that's also something we took into account, and we did some other things in a system prompt, which makes the answer more sustainable. So that's are basically the things we are doing now. Um, but we're busy with like other features, building other features in the chat itself, where people also get, which gives people more insight of, okay, if you, the thing is, what I always say, people are really bad in prompting. So they need a lot of questions to get to the answer. We want to make that shorter, because if you have less questions for your answer, you also use the server like less than if you need more questions. So that's also more a UX thing, but also helps us to make the product more sustainable.
That's very smart actually, and I'm excited to see how that's gonna come into to play on
It's
the
difficult
yeah.
because, but I think we can manage. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so you mentioned already your partnership with with Leaf Cloud, and I'm
Mhm,
curious to understand how this works exactly. So you mentioned this is usually in hospitals or in
mhm,
care
mhm.
centers. How do they manage these partnerships, and how is the heat used exactly?
Yeah. So I think it's something which is already done in the in-house industry in the Netherlands a lot. So a lot of organizations, they need like heat, for example. Just people, like if you want to hospitals or swimming pools, they need to heat like the swimming pool. And there is a lot of, from the servers, a lot of, they're producing a lot of heat.
Hmm.
And normally this heat they put it outside. Like it's you need to basically need to cool down the server environment, and they cool the server center. So now they reuse the heat because they're close to. You need to be close to the source because otherwise it gets lost. But if you're close to the heat, to the source, you can use the heat to 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 warm up or heat other environments. So that's
Very,
that's
very
how it
smart.
works how it works technically. That's something more for Leaf Cloud. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Maybe another podcast episode with them to talk.
yeah. With them, that would be nice. Yeah.
And another topic that I want to talk about, you already talked a little bit about, the fact that a lot of your clients want to have the data hosted in
Mhm,
Europe. And I guess that this probably has to do with privacy concerns, right?
mhm.
So how do you address that, and how is the data being used and stored right now? Yeah,
Yeah.
Green.
So um, somebody asked me this question yesterday, and basically, first of all, we don't train models, so we use open source models which were trained by large companies like IBM, Google, AWS, Meta. Basically, they are the only, and of course, you also have the Chinese models. Um, and right now, they are the only companies in the world which have the budget to train this kind of models, which has like a certain quality level. So we don't train the models itself. So also, if you use GreenPT, we don't we don't use any data to train these models. And we also don't transfer or uh, give give this data to somebody else than on our servers. So that's one thing. So that's about like more the training of the models, which are a lot of time people are concerned about that. And second of all, using GreenPT, like the prompting and the answers, it's like basically the same if you like fill in a database with questions and answers, and this data is stored in Europe, and it's like managed by us, and the servers, both Leaf Cloud and Skillway, they have like all the certifications like the 27001 certificate, which is a security certification, the highest level. Um, yeah, so so basically, the data is not shared with anybody.
Mhm.
Then, then us. Yeah.
Very, very clear. And so beyond GreenBT, do you see any other exciting innovations in AI right now?
Mhm.
Or are there any emerging trends or technologies that you think could make AI more sustainable?
Yes, I think what the one thing we currently can't do, which we really want to do, but which is currently not possible, because you need like large investments to do that. And if you have the large investment, I also doubt if you get a better quality, is training the model um, on green in a green environment. That's something which is not happening right now, or we can't prove it is happening or it doesn't happen. So that's something which is something I would like to see that it gets improved, but it's really hard to. Of course, we don't have control that. What I really like to see is that the open source industry is like every day there is something new is getting released, um, and it starts with large models, like really large models, which are really good, but they are really large. Um, but then, like other developers, because it's open source, for example, they got quantized, so they get like they make the same models smaller,
Mhm.
um, which helps us uh, uh, to improve our products and give more value to our users. So that's something I really like. So that the open source industry is is really hot right now. I also read something yesterday about a employee of OpenAI that they also are thinking about open sourcing models, which open sourcing OpenAI models, which is also really cool for us, because if we can, for example, host like something like 4.0 Mini, which people, or 4.0, but I don't 4.0 right. I don't think they will do that right now, but maybe in the future that they give open source community access to this kind of models. We we also can give our users more quality to the product. Uh, uh, by the way, I also use GreenPT, and it's the only AI I use right now, and I don't need anything else, so that's nice. And also one thing, it's what I think it will be really interesting. Um, I think two things is, one is more local, so really small AI models which run local on devices. This is something which is already in the iPhone, I think also on Android devices.
Yeah.
So for that's something the same for a lot of tasks. You don't need to ask high demand like servers of OpenAI. You can ask the question. It can answer the question when from on AI models which are already on your phone, for example. It's the same with browsers. I know that Google is working on a browser where there is already a small AI model in the browser itself.
Mhm.
So I think that will also be really interesting, also from a sustainability perspective. Also for us, if we can first trigger a local model and then later on say, hey, okay, this was not you. Didn't we answer your question? Okay, then we are going to use our server side model. So and next to that is also more, what I think is really interesting. Is in more the agents which getting developed right now. Um, right now, people are trying to build agents for like doing like everything for you in life, but believe I believe more in like smaller agents which can do certain tasks really good, and um, and that's something which is also, I think, interesting. So you don't use AI anymore for your just like your your question, and hopefully it gives you the correct answer and
Mhm.
it doesn't hallucinate. That you choose, okay, I want to make like, for example, I want to make a concept of a project plan I'm working on for my study. Okay, then there will is like a project plan agent, and then you get like faster to your goal than
Absolutely.
yeah.
That would be a very exciting development for GreenPT for sure.
Yeah.
And so, as I mentioned also at the beginning of the podcast, I am one of the first, I think you said 60, 70 users to try GreenPT.
Mhm.
So when do you expect people to be able to gain access to the platform, and how can they stay informed?
Yeah, so right now, we think we did a lot of updates last weeks. So we are now onboarding our clients. So first, um, and that's happened this week. And I think in the beginning of next week, we are going to onboard more people from the waiting list. And then from there, we will open it up. So if you want to use it, you can submit yourself to the waiting list, and then you will get an account soon. And from there, and I hope that the end of April we will open it up for everyone. Yeah,
And how can you join the waiting list?
yeah. You can go to greenpt.ai invite.
Okay, super.
Yeah,
Well, then, Robert, this has been a really great conversation. Too short, but very interesting. And yeah, congratulations on
yeah.
launching GreenPT. And thank you for sharing your insights on how the model works and why it is sustainable. So, for those listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it, comment, or reach out to Robert and myself on LinkedIn. My name
Yep.
is Nina Benoit, and this is the AI Sustainability Podcast. See you next time.
Uh,